Hey, I have never been so grateful for a small building. I was like, 250? No problem. No problem. Nothing has to stop here. If it was over that, we would have stopped. But I was like, Jesus, you're so good. You look into the future. You know everything. I don't know if you remember the days when we had this purpley pink carpet. Oh, man, when we first got in this building, I was like, Jesus, I have to close my eyes to worship. I just can't. I don't even know if it's purple or pink. It's purpley pink, and it matched the little tiny flowers in the pew. And I was like, oh, that's why they picked it. So it matched. It matched. But by the time we were ready to pull that carpet out and put in this other nice carpet, something important had happened in my heart because I had remembered all the times that I had literally been right here on that purpley pink carpet and Jesus had spoke to me and all my tears that magically went away in this carpet. It's so amazing. That carpet was like, seriously, spilled coffee, it just went away. I don't know what happened. It was crazy, but there was something special. And the thing that like drove me the craziest was actually like turned out to be so sweet when it went. And I think so many times we think so many things are like bad or they're driving us crazy, and then they turn out to be some of the sweetest things in our life. And just because something starts one way doesn't mean it's going to end that way. And I think the good thing is we don't know how things end. And I think our biggest hindrance is we try to guess. We try to guess. And you know what? We're just not good guessers. I mean, come on, in your life, you've guessed about a lot of things. Or worried, right? We can call it worry, but let's be nice. It's guessing, okay? We're guessing. We're guessing. And then most of those things we guessed about didn't even happen. They didn't even happen. And so in a time like now, right, there's lots of guessing. Well, there's lots of people already guessing, telling you what you should guess, right? Be careful who you listen to, okay? But I just want to encourage you, we have Jesus. Like if anybody on the planet who does not have to freak out, it's us. It's us, right? And I cannot begin to tell you how many times I asked the Lord about this women's breakfast, okay? We create the schedule in November, like August, September, October, November. I'm already planning for the next year, right? We're putting things in. And so we had this date in. And then it was funny because then we found out about Tower. And I was like, Jesus, really, how many things can we do in one weekend? Are we crazy? Yes, absolutely. But it still felt like, no, like you're still going to do it. And so then as we get closer and then this week happens, right? This week was unique. You know, I'm at that age where I can say, like, I've lived a while and I've never seen that. I don't know when that happened. I think when I hit 40, like, things would happen. I was like, man, I've never seen that. Like, there'd be things that happen. I was like, I've never seen that. I've never seen that. So this is one of those things I was like, I've never seen that. We're closing down schools, which is fine. I have nothing against precaution. I just am worried about all my mamas with elementary kids, and what are you going to do with all your babies? Right? I mean, every time we had spring break or summer, my kids were home, it was great. I didn't care. I liked that kind of stuff. I was like, I don't have to wake up early. Nobody's, complaining. We don't have to worry about bedtime. Like, there was a level of, like, comfort until you got into it, and then you're like, go back. Give me structure. Give me structure. I'll go to bed early to wake up early to send you to school. It's fine. We need something to do. I cannot entertain you this much. So, but I think in there, that's where my concern was for the families, for the mamas. And I think God knew who was going to be sitting in here today. He knew we needed today. I just want to remind you of your unique role as a woman. You get to be the thermostat of your home. You're not the thermometer. The thermometer tells you what the degree is. The thermostat sets it. And I would encourage you, take a look at your internal thermostat. What is it? If it's too high, ask Jesus where it should be set at. And then bring it back there, and then you get to bring that to your family. You get to bring that to your homes. You get to bring that to your friends. And I just want to read to you from Proverbs 31, 25 through 27. It says, she is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. That's us. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instruction with kindness. She carefully watches everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. That's us. That's Proverb 31 woman. That's who we get to be. That's what Jesus wants to do. He wants to clothe us with strength and dignity. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like being honest. But it looks like giving Jesus whatever you're afraid of. It looks like giving Jesus your worry. It looks like giving Jesus the ability to answer the questions you have instead of you trying to guess. It allows you to come to Jesus to ask him instead of what social media or the world, because I don't know about you, I've heard about as polar opposite of answers on this as could be. So since there's no one unified voice, then you have to choose what side you're leaning on, right? And everybody's going to lean on a different side. But I think Jesus would want to say the same thing to all of us. And he isn't confusing. And he's going to give you exactly what you need. And so I think today he's going to help you just adjust the thermostat of your heart so that you get to take that home and you get to be that to other people when they come with their concerns. I mean, who hasn't had a moment of panic? I went to the grocery store and I was like, I just need regular toilet paper, people. I'm not getting ready for the apocalypse. I just don't like being low. Like I have a rule in my house. Like I don't want to run out of toilet paper. Like it's a thing, right? Now I can because I know how to use all kinds of other things, okay? I'm creative. You could be creative. But I was like, but for people who just need regular, like just an irregular amount. And I want to encourage you, if you have stocked up and you are oversupplied, I think that's great. But think about the people that you know, some of the older people who maybe can't get out or shouldn't get out right now. Call them up. You need a couple rolls? Right? Just leave it on their front porch. You don't even got to go in, right? Be considerate. We don't have to live in fear. And I'm an over-prepared kind of person. I have been that way since I was a child, okay? They talked about earthquake preparedness. I had water saved up. I was like, my family will be fine. I'm 8 years old. I have taken care of everybody. It is not a lie. I'm not exaggerating. You can ask my mom, okay? I take it seriously. But even in that, it's to help others. We don't have to be greedy. We don't have to be afraid. God has us. God has us. But one of the things I'm thinking about this word social distancing, right? And I was like, that's such an interesting word. We're already with social media, this fake pseudo connection, and we already are so isolated as it is. And I am thinking about social distancing, right? So we don't get sick. Who wants to get sick? I don't want to get sick. I'm more afraid of the flu, honestly, because I know somebody right now who is tested positive. I was like, I just would rather not get the flu. That would be awesome right now. But I don't want anything. Does that make sense? I don't want anything. But I'm thinking, well, there's still ways to connect. You can still pray for people. You can call up people you haven't talked to in a while. How are you doing with all this? Not because you're offering answers, but because you want to offer prayer. You can offer peace. And how are you doing? I mean, when you feel like, I don't know about you, but when I feel like there's not anything I can do, I know that's not true. And I feel like we as the church have a unique opportunity. When we have unique circumstances, then God has given us a unique opportunity to do something that no one else, only the church can do. And you are the church. And so are things you're going to be able to do. You're going to be able to pray for people. You don't have to tell people how it turns out. I'm not God. I don't know how anything turns out. Okay? But I can tell you that I don't have to be afraid. And Jesus knows that if I got down to no toilet paper and all the stores were still out, which we're not. We get our toilet paper from America, people, okay? So we start producing. They're not shutting down for any reason. I've already researched it. But just say everybody goes to the store at 5 a.m. and buys all the toilet paper every day for the next 4 weeks, okay? You're leaving your house, by the way. Did you know that? The stores are packed. I'm sure there are over 250 people in there. Just a note. I'm noticing things. But then God would send toilet paper from heaven. You know, I would be provided for one way or another, right? God will take care of us. We will be fine. It said that she's not lazy. It's not a point of being lazy. And I think that's the part where we get a little afraid. It's not like I'm trying to be lazy. There's nothing there, right? I feel sorry for people who need baby wipes right now because, they just going through them diapers. And they need it for real. And I don't know about you, but I was never buying more than what I needed. I'd buy like my month's supply and then, you move on. So anyways, okay, there we go. Are we good? We have a place in this. It's okay. God has given us something, and I think, you know how there's like the chaos is right here? If we just get a little lower, Jesus, what are you saying? One of my favorite questions to ask him when chaos is happening is, what's really going on? What's really happening right now? What do I really need to be focused on? Isaiah 41:10 says, do not yield to fear. And this is God speaking to us, for I am always near. Never turn your gaze from me, for I am your faithful God. I will infuse you with my strength and help you in every situation. I will hold you firmly with my victorious right hand. You do not have to yield to fear. Oh, and fear is a bully. Oh, it's bossy. Even when you think you're holding out, like I was like, no, I am not giving in to fear. I do not care. I'm not giving in to fear. Then I just went to the store to get bread. People were crazy. You could feel it. And I was like, ooh, it kind of feels like it's pushing you around, like you have to do what it says. But you know what? You don't have to do what it says. You don't have to do what it says. You can rebuke fear. It's a spirit. It's not just a feeling, right? Because if it were a feeling, right, like sadness and happy or, all these other, we have feelings. This is not a feeling. Fear is a spirit that gives you a bunch of other feelings. It initiates them, but you can rebuke that fear. We have authority in Jesus that we do not have to tolerate it. Okay. So interesting, we enter 2020. And 2020 is a new decade. I cannot tell you how excited I was for 2020. I don't know why. I don't choose to be excited about things. Most of the time, I'm not excited about most things. I'm just kind of take one day as you go kind of person. I don't, look up too often. I don't look back too often. It's just I got enough to do every day, right? But I kept feeling this anticipation for 2020. And I was super excited about it. And I'm standing here today and I'm thinking, wow, so interesting. Jesus, you already knew. None of this takes God by surprise. He's not shocked. In fact, you know what? We're all going to be home. We're all going to be cooking dinner. We're all going to be with our families, right? We're going to be resting in a way that we haven't because we're on, social distancing. Not from our families, though, right? You ain't getting away. You ain't getting away. You getting together. You're going to jail. It's true. You don't get to social distance from them. Sorry. They said we have to social distance. Go to your room. It's not happening. But I think what a sweet time to be with our family. Even in that, God can use anything. Doesn't mean he caused it. I don't feel like we're any under great punishment or, whatever. Jesus took our punishment. There is no punishment for us. But I think everything's an opportunity. And that this could be an opportunity to be with our family. Could be an opportunity to slow down, right? To, cook dinner at home again. Think about some meals. Be creative. You got to come up with stuff to do with each other, right? Somebody said they were buying stock in Netflix. I was laughing. I was like, yeah, probably. I'm going to watch some movies. But I just want to encourage you, God already knew. He's got us. And the theme this year is advance. And it is to move forward. And I think we have to remember that you're moving forward no matter what comes. You aren't just moving forward when the path looks all clear in front of you. You still move forward if you feel like there's obstacles in front of you. Moving forward is moving forward. Forward motion is progress. And anything that makes me stop or like pushes me back, I have to go, what is that? That is a no, because no matter what, I can move forward in Jesus. In order to advance, you're going to have to know where you're going, right? How do you advance if you don't know where you're going? You ever been with somebody who doesn't actually have directions? They don't really care about them, but yet they want to lead the way? No, you cannot. You are not allowed. Somebody has to take over. I mean, unless you're going for a joyride, then who cares, right? Like joyrides, we don't have a destination. The whole purpose is that, sure, no problem. But if we're trying to get somewhere in a timely manner, like you need to know where you're going. And so it's important that we know where we're going. And then you have to ask, if we know where we're going, then what's your source? How did you decide that's where you're going? And ultimately, you have to ask Jesus, where do you want me to go? Where should I be going? I don't know about you, but I could come up with all kinds of directions to head off into. I could also wander and feel like I'm going somewhere, and I'm actually not going anywhere. I can just be doing my day and not even think about where should I be heading. And the purpose of knowing where you're going is you'll be choosier about your choices. Because if I know where I'm going, I know if we have time to do this. I know if we can stop. I know if that detour is okay, right? If I know where I'm going and I know when I need to be there, I'll know. Like this fits, this doesn't fit, right? So it's important that you know where you're going. In Proverbs 16:9, it says, within your heart, you can make plans for the future, but the Lord chooses the steps you take to get there. And so ultimately, things don't always work out the way we think that they're going to work out, but it doesn't mean that God isn't still taking us somewhere. And I think there's some of us, this room, maybe half this room, you feel like God has spoken some things to you, and you're sure about them. There's others of us who are like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have that, which is fine because you can ask him and he'll give it to you. But I think so many times, she don't have it either. Don't be trusting her. She doesn't know. But I think so many times once God gives us an idea of a destination, that we think we know how it looks. We know what it'll look like. We know who will be with us on that journey. And the truth is we don't. We have to trust that those steps, that he's leading us, he's directing that nothing takes him by surprise. In order to advance, there's going to be some work involved, right? You can't just sit still. If I just sat right here on the floor and just been like, all right, God, you got to do it all, right? I know there was a time in my life where I was like so afraid of making a mistake that I would want to hear from God, 5 to 10 times about the same thing before I did it. And it would be like ridiculous things. Like, hey, go talk to that person. I was like, Jesus, are you sure? Really? Are you sure? Do you want me to talk to them? What do you want me to say? Can you tell me what to say beforehand? Are you sure? No, God's not telling me. He's telling somebody else. Like that, the message came here, but it was really supposed to go there. That God didn't want me to do it. And then I'd still, are you sure, God? Are you sure? Are you sure? And he's like, oh my, he is so patient. I would have whooped my kids before that, right? You guys have the chancla, I had the spoon. Wooden spoon, okay? That's the not child abuse spoon. If you use a plastic spoon, that's child abuse spoon. Ricochets. It's bad. It's bad. So, if you didn't know that, sorry. But I think about God, and I think, man, we should get some spankings for some of the stuff we make it, because he's just asking me to go be kind, to go be loving. And I think we can mess stuff up. But we're not messing it up. We're just loving. We're just sharing. We're just giving. You can't go wrong in that. And I think so many times we're like, oh, is that the devil? I've learned if I have sweaty palms and I'm freaking out, it's definitely Jesus. Because my flesh never wants to do whatever Jesus wants, ever. That's kind of become my confirmation. How nervous am I about doing it? Okay, then I need to do it. And then I won't die. I'll look like I'm dying in the process, but I won't die. I feel sorry for people too. Like I have to come up and I'm like trying to do what God told me to do and I'm all nervous. And I was like, hi, you know. Yeah, you wonder why it doesn't go well, you know. They're like, hi, okay. If they could get past the awkwardness, we can move forward. It'll be fine. But there's going to be some work. There's going to be something. We're going to have to say yes. We're going to have to be about it. And then you're about what? Well, honestly, I found this. As long as I'm moving forward, God manages to get me in the right direction. It's like when I stop, then I don't get there because I'm not going anywhere. There's nothing. We think sometimes we're on those like conveyor belts, right? Like it's moving forward. Actually, the world is moving around us. But that doesn't mean you're necessarily moving forward, right? We're not on that. It's not just taking us. It feels like it's taking us. Sometimes we believe like it's taking us in directions, but it's not necessarily taking us. God always gives us the choice to move forward. He's not forcing us. But there is going to be work involved. So, anybody in here a fan of the gym? That's okay. Neither was I. So whatever. Okay. So, good. Hope this ministers to you. So, about 2 years ago, Jesus just kept at me about the gym. And I'm not a fan of the gym. I don't know why. First off, I don't want any trainer. Don't yell at me. You yell at me, we're done. We're done. I don't do that. Don't boss me around. Don't tell me what to do. Give me 10 more. No, you give 10 more. I'm not doing 10 more, okay? But about 2 years ago, I felt like the Lord kept saying, I was like, what's my next step with you, Jesus? What's my next step with you? And he's like, go to the gym. I was like, no, that is not spiritual. Like, read your Bible more, duh. You know what I'm saying? He's like, no, go to the gym. He's like, you're already doing these things. Go to the gym. And I was like, oh. So then I tried a little bit. And like there was this one gym with a dark room that had a big TV in there, like a big screen. It was all dark and I didn't have to see people. I know I like people, but I like being with the people I want to be with. Does that make sense? Like if I go to the gym, I don't want to know people there. I don't know you. You're strangers. You're strangers. Now my husband's the opposite. He'll make friends with everybody at the gym. We are opposites. He will talk to everybody, right? I'm like, I don't want to be bothered. You don't want to be bothered. No problem. So I'm hiding out in this little area, and then they took it away. And I was like, done. I'm out. I tried, and they're just like, I don't know. There's just other people there. And I was like, I don't want to work out with you. I want to feel like I'm working out alone. So the Lord would not stop. And every time I was going, we were working through mental barriers. And it was like this idea that I can't do more. It was this idea that I don't want to. Well, why don't I want to? What's so hard about it? What's so bad about it? Like we were digging through these ideas, these thoughts in my mind. And the whole time I'm wrestling. Jesus, this is not spiritual. And I'm sure he wanted to say, you're so religious. But I thought, really, this is not spiritual. And I don't want to do it. But he just kept pushing me. And he's like, we're going to break through things that are hindering you in your spiritual walk. But everything, if we don't get to the right pressure point, I'll never be able to push on those things so that they can come down and you can actually have a larger capacity than what you have. Only God knew that going to the gym for me would be the thing that could push on my way of thinking that nothing else pushed on. Nothing else pushed on the way I thought and revealed to me how actually stubborn I am. Then that. Because every time I had a reason, I had an excuse. I don't want to. And there were just piles and piles and piles of them. I remember the Lord told me one morning, he showed me like the walls in my mind, like a maze, right? We create all these things that we think. And he put some wheels on them. And he goes, I'm going to move some for you. And I was like, okay. And that day was the first day that I ever ate oatmeal since I was 5 years old. And I came to the gym and I told my husband, I was like, I ate oatmeal this morning. He's like, what? This is when I learned how stubborn I am. I had never told anybody I didn't like oatmeal. Because you know what happens when you tell people you don't like something? Oh, try it. Just try it. You never tried it this way. This is the right way to have it. When you eat it like this, you'll like it. No. No, I don't like it. I don't like mushy stuff. I just don't like it. I don't want to eat it, okay? So I didn't tell anybody because nobody's going to make me do anything I don't want to do. And I won't. That's how stubborn I am. I'm not even going to give you the opportunity to know. I didn't know I was that stubborn. So I ate oatmeal. And I've eaten oatmeal since. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. But in my head, since I was 5 and I threw it up once, my mom told me I had to eat it because I was sick. I just never want to eat again. I was done. And I was living by something that I made up my mind at 5 years old. And at 40, I still believed the same thing. It had the same power, the same authority. It was non-negotiable because I made up my mind at 5 years old. Now, we have things that happen in our life and we make up our mind about things, but we have to ask, like, under what circumstances did I make up my mind about that? How old was I? Is that still valid? Jesus, what do you say about that? Because maybe you keep trying to go in this one direction, there's a wall there. And you're like, why? Why is there a wall there? But it was a wall that was built for a 5-year-old. But not at 40. Not for today. It doesn't need to be there anymore. And so I think we have to be willing to let God do those things so that we can grow. And when he tells you he wants to grow you and he gives you a way that seems extremely unorthodox, he knows you. Maybe you're unorthodox. Maybe he knows exactly what you need to get you where he's trying to get you. But instead, I argued with him, but I still went. Does anybody like that? Like, I argued, but I went. I was kind of like the kid that said, no, I'm not going to do it, Dad. And then he went and did it anyways. I kind of was a pain in the butt the whole time, like arguing with you about it. But nonetheless, I still did it. And I will tell you, being on the other side of that, there is something that has opened up for me in a way that God knew. He was trying to get me somewhere. And he knew which way it took. And either I trust him or I don't. And I'll tell you, I wrestled through the not trusting him because I didn't, because it didn't make sense to me, right? But it didn't have to make sense to me. If I asked him and he told me, then it's good enough, right? But as long as we're moving forward, we're moving forward. And God wanted to show me how I think about things. God wanted to show me consistency and discipline and the benefit of that in all areas. God wanted to show me that I'm worth taking care of, which was probably my biggest aha moment. In all fairness, I don't mind taking care of other people, but taking care of myself, those are fighting words. I don't have time. I can't do that. I'm taking care of everybody else. But the goose that lays the golden egg, if the goose dies, there's no more golden eggs. And so there's a level, if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't really take care of other people well, the way we're intended to. And the final one is, in order to advance, you have to enjoy the process. So many times it's about the finish line, right? It's the finish line. And the finish line keeps you going, but the problem is, if you go from one finish line to the next finish line, you just never enjoy the process. And then what happens is, if you cover enough finish lines, you actually feel empty. It doesn't feel good anymore. It's like, yeah, I did this. Yeah, I did that. You know, life kind of feels empty and pointless. And I think we get to that place because we don't enjoy the process. And I think the goal of the finish line is just to keep us heading in the right direction. I know I have misunderstood that. I know that I've thought it's about just getting to the finish line. It's always about getting to the finish line, right? I'm so focused on getting to the finish line that I'm not paying attention to who's around me. I'm not enjoying the journey. There's no joy. I'm not learning and growing through this process. Like, it's the experience of the process that grows you up. It's the experience of the process with other people that bonds you together and gives you lifelong friendships. It's the experience of the process that makes your life feel full and rich. But if I'm waiting for finish lines only come at the end of races. How many ends do you need? You're missing a lot of steps in the middle. And it's not because your life isn't rich and full, because it is. because God has made everything beautiful in its time. You have everything you absolutely need. But I think so many times we're running so fast we can't even pay attention and be grateful for what's around us. We have it. We don't have lack. I believe the biggest lie in our life is we don't have lack. It's the original lie of the serpent to Eve. You know what, Eve? You don't have enough. Just go eat this tree. She's like, I could eat from any tree. He's like, yeah, but this tree, you're lacking. But if you have it, you'll be like God. And she's like, that sounds good. Except for it's the ultimate of ungratefulness. Because the reality is we didn't create the heavens and the earth. We didn't create ourselves. We didn't create the people in our lives. We didn't make one thing. But God made it all. And our only job is to steward it and to be grateful for it and to appreciate it. That's it. But you know, I'm like Raquel. I'm biting people's heads off. Right? I'm stressed. I'm running. I got things to do. I have a list. We have to get it taken care of because I am taking care of you. And I am angry about it. But we can slow down. We can find the good. And we can be grateful. Because God has us. We didn't make any of this, right? We didn't make any of this, but we're in it. But we know the one who made it, and he has us. He has us. I want you to rest assured in that. He has us. There is so much joy that we could have in these next few weeks that could blow our minds, that we could be so refreshed. We could be so refilled. We could be reminded of the value of the relationships in our life. We could be reminded of the value of the people that we have around us, that we could genuinely appreciate everything that we have. We'll get a moment. Let's take it. Let's enjoy the process. This is part of our journey, right? And we're all sharing this journey together. So I want to encourage you guys, if you guys just close your eyes. Lord, we thank you that you knew what today would be like. You knew this week. And in the midst of it, you're giving us exactly what we need. You're giving us, and you're not giving it just for us, but you're giving it to us so that we can give it to others. And so, God, I thank you for the strength and the dignity of every woman in this room, that, God, you have put it on her and you have put it in her. In Jesus' name.